Thank you, thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give my closing address as your chair for the last 6 years. This is the moment of deep reflection that requires us to up our participation in every matter that concerns our region. NCCK remains the single most visible and vocal ecumenical organization in the country on all matters justice and peace. In our endeavors to promote the ideals of our forefathers within our present context, a more dynamic approach would be required, culminating into an all-inclusive engagement with every ecumenical partner. In Nyanza region, we represent Christians from diverse backgrounds, including but not limited to ethnic, social, and political persuasions. Our region has suffered numerous socio-political and economic marginalization that has left majority feel eternally alienated from this country's leadership and economic power. It is this region that has witnessed the worst politically instigated electoral violence over the years, with many deaths and destructions recorded. During the last 6 years, since we took over the leadership of this region, our main area of concrete intervention has been empowerment of our churches and affiliate organizations with skills and knowledge in matters of justice, peace, and good governance. By engaging different stakeholders in information sharing, workshops, and consultative meetings. Our strength has all along been our solidarity in addressing matters of mutual interest. The unity of purpose and strict adherence to principles of collegiality has played a critical role in building our capacity to engage with the local leadership in addressing salient issues in this region. Over the past 3 years, this region has witnessed a drawback in many areas. The low level of engagement with local leadership in shaping the economic and social integration has left a very big gap between the church and the government. In this century, it is an absurdity for a country or national leadership to leave out church leaders in their strategic plans. Church is part of our society, whose contribution to the economic, social, and political well-being of our country is immense and cannot be ignored. Whereas the government's knee-jerk responses had been the order of the day, ours had been motivated by the desire for holistic service to God and humanity. Our prophetic role in society will continuously prompt us to wake up the government leadership from its slumber and see and act on the glaring evils committed by its officers. The wanton destruction of our environment through pollution of our water sources land grabbing by those in positions of influence in society, including church lands, the corruption in government offices, both country and national, poses a great threat to our regional development. Our mundane responsibility is to ensure that we play the role of both direct and indirect custodians of justice and righteousness of God. Silence on such matters is a weakness that jeopardizes our prophetic role. Our clarion call is to face the social monster standing on the way of truth, justice and peace, by claiming God's authority and power to bring transformation. Using every available tool at our disposal, we must be ready to forsake that which does not bring glory to God and take a sacrificial path of boldness and courage and bring out our optimal knowledge and strength for the betterment of our society. In our previous engagements, it has been said again and again how much we are endowed with enormous resources. Gold in South Nyanza, and Arieda and Bondo, sub-counties, largest freshwater lake in Africa, rich lands along the lake basin, higher institutions of learning, including 8 universities. We cannot underestimate the economic and social and political values attached to these resources. The much publicized blue economy is here to bring transformation in the region. What we see are conferences organized in high-end facilities and attended by top country leaderships from the region. However much we make noise about the government neglect, devolution makes it imperative for our country governments to take initiative to exploit these resources. As a church, we still have one more critical role to play in this matter. This coming leadership will have to do everything possible to take the lead in regional conversation on matters of economic and political engagements. The voiceless majority in this region has been bewitched by the ghosts of poverty, political and economic marginalization, and a hopelessness of a greater proportion. As we struggle to balance things up and create a space of equity in matters of socio-economic engagements, we must take the lead in this struggle and open our eyes wider enough to enable us stir up the potential in us to wrestle with forces of impurity. We are facing certain challenges in our region, and our main concern is how well prepared we are to tackle each and every one of them as a matter of conjecture. I wish to give some highlights on some of the challenges we have to address as church leaders, and more so as people sharing the same collateral damages resulting from our political positions in this country. Culture of violence. Violence has become a major worry in this region. The worst thing is that perpetrators of violence are using our youth as tools of trade to unleash terror on those purported to be enemies. Our youth needs to be empowered with skills and knowledge that would transform their lives and make them agents of change in our society. Their valuable energy should be exploited for economic and social integration, rather than being misused by politicians to settle political scores with their nemesis. It is immoral to use some people's children for political war, which is not theirs in the first place. Most of our funerals today have been turned into battlefields for political supremacy, and we cannot sit back and watch as unconcerned spectators how the culture of violence is taking shape amongst our people. I want to urge this conference to take up this matter seriously and lay out a program for social sensitization of our youth for peaceful approach to our differences. Jesus Christ looked at the aggressive Peter, who believed he could use violence to defend his master. The warning was clear. Take back the sword, for those who kill by the sword stand to die by the sword. Economic wastages. Any person who deliberately or ignorantly wastes public resources is a danger to our society, and as such needs to be charged for committing economic crime. We have witnessed cases of wastage when a leader would be accompanied by a retinue of officers for a function that would require a lane escort. We end up wasting money on transport, out of pocket and other logistics. When critical offices are closed because senior officers are accompanying their leader to a function, then something is wrong. As a bishop, I have so many people who can accompany me to my functions, but discipline requires that we become prudent managers of our resources. Let's hold meetings and conferences in local hotels and resorts as a way of retaining our resources. Luxury is taking toll of our resources, and this must be addressed. There is a problem in procurements that our country governments must also address. When tenders are awarded to pocket-friendly people at the expense of professionalism and transparency, the quality of work either is sacrificed or the work is permanently stalled. More often than not, millions are wasted on projects whose chances to be completed is almost zero. Cases of corruption. Corruption is glaring its ugly face in every public office. Land offices have become dens of corruption. Unfortunately, some of the staff in those offices are members of our respective churches. We have had cases of transferring other people's undeveloped lands to some individuals with the names of rightful owners missing in the land registries. This is evil practice that could cause death and uncontrollable anger. I want Your Excellency the Governor to pick this matter with the land registry. On our behalf, you are our representative. We elected you. There is a lot of corruption in the land registry here. I have 4 cases presented to me of people's names missing in the land registry, replaced with some politically connected people. Bishop Charles, allow me just to mention this without apology. Recently, Maseno South Diocese witnessed a similar case when some prison officers went to the church compound to grab a piece of land there. It was a very ugly incident. A land that the church has owned for almost 40 years. Because some people think that they have powers, they could go and just carve off part of the land, church land, for their use. I told Bishop, don't waste even a single cent going to court. We'll deal with them as a united church. Because today they come to Maseno South, tomorrow they will go to Peva. Isn't it? Yes. Then after that they will go to another one. I want us in this conference to make a resolution that such a thing will never happen under our watch. And Bishop, count on my support. It will not happen when Bishop Kodia is still alive. We have struggled with that church. We have struggled to build it. No one has ever raised any objection for the last 38 years until we built it, and even the Google, who is not with us, knows that it is ours. There are certain things we don't have to go low. We don't negotiate with evildoers when it comes to justice. So I want us to make that resolution. And if there is any issue, please let us. We'll mobilize ourselves. And Governor, that's your cathedral. Let us fight, not allow a thing like that again. There are some people who are better buried under the ground than being seen alive, terrorizing people. Haven't I spoken? And that's who I am. So I don't want people who are taking advantage of other people's calamity or their vulnerability to commit evil. I want to urge all of you here present that in every way we must learn and practice justice and fairness to everyone. We must discard the greed of corruption and display Christian faith as a measure of righteousness. So that whenever we meet George will tell us we are friends at once. Because we portray that image of what a Christian stands for. Another thing is nepotism, tribalism, and discrimination. NCCK is the single largest ecumenical family that has survived all seasons of oppression in this country. The time when our forefathers could face the government head-on and call it into account, there was a deeper compelling desire to bring social order in a fragmented society. Those were the days when being a member of one ethnic community could either be a reason for your woes or your blessings, depending on who is in power. More often than not, I have talked about injustices in the distribution of state jobs. When people purported to be the stakeholders in the government are getting employed, with a cabinet secretary even distributing job application forms at a funeral, many people from other communities without stake are observing from a distance. Unlike spectators, they are harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. The irony is that even our fellow church leaders from the privileged areas have decided to abandon us, shut their eyes so that they could not see the evil, shut their ears as well so that they could not hear of it. This war for justice must take another level That level, unfortunately, I don't know. We must rise up as church leaders and accept to be counted alongside the oppressed, the marginalized, and segregated. Let us not be consumed by greed for privileges, ethnic alliances, and political inclinations, but be guided by the spirit of our common faith in Jesus Christ. Now, involvement in ecumenical activities. We thank God that despite our doctrinal diversities and mode of leaderships, we can still confidently blow the trumpet of glory for uniting and reconciling love found in Jesus Christ. It is this bonding love that attracts our collective participation in ecumenical activities of the Council. This participation must be visible, both locally, regionally, nationally, as a rainbow of cohesion and mutual coherence in matters of faith and order within the ecumenical family. NCCK belongs to all of us, and the strength we have emanates from this collective understanding of unity of purpose. Let's give all to strengthen this resolve as we recognize our diversity in every respect. Let's try to enrich this diversity within our ecumenical family by standing with one another in times of need, sharing evangelistic enterprises and approaches to issues of common concern will forever remain indelible areas of our focus. Words of gratitude. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation for the trust you have bestowed upon us as your chair for the last 6 years. Your cooperation and willingness to stand with me, even in hard moments, cannot go unnoticed. When my residence was raided under unclear circumstances, it was you who came up and pronounced God's will to the world. I want to ask Bob and I to stand. Even if I breach the protocol, I'll repent later. He was sent by the governor to come to my place and see what is happening when 8 armed policemen raided my residence. NCCK staff who are here, Carol and others, and we have Bishop Edwin and others, Betty, they all came and they asked this policeman, what are you looking for in Bishop's residence? It was not easy. I followed from the script how Bob was interrogating this policeman who harassed my family for the better part of the day. Should you come to a bishop with 8 loaded guns to find out? I've never even touched a gun in my life. You stood with me. Your Excellency, you stood with us. Where others ran away from me. Some of us, I will not mention names, came to shed crocodile tears. Then behind the scene, they are telling the media people to report that those people are looking for Ruto's money that I was here. Shame on them. They came to me and later they went to the media to report. The media had to call me. Bishop, this is another version of the story. Please I want to advise you, even those who are going to take over the leadership. If you know that you are weak, don't dare even to show interest. Because the way things are, we need people who can tell Pharaoh, hey, you are wrong one. We need people who can stand up. And your life becomes secondary. Sometimes my family, they look at me and say, Dad, what sort of a man are you? You are still going back to the same people. I say, yes. What I did, which I did not tell Bob, is that I invited those people for lunch in my house. And I told them never do it again. You know, we Christians, you know that personal stuff we have. Unachapa kweli kweli mpaka someone anashika double, then you are an amazing people to shepherd. You also stood with us, even when the situation required that this facility be sold. And I'm happy that I'm saying this thing openly, because this is my last remark. Allow me. We stood and said this facility cannot be sold whatsoever, unless we are all buried and dead. You heard how Professor Nyong'o has nostalgic memory of the place. So those who will be taking over this, ensure that the property of the council is safe. We have another property somewhere in the hills. It's about 11 acres. 11 acres. None should go out. So even if a quarter of it goes out, you people who are coming to take over will be answerable to the people of God. And I say this without any iota of doubt, fear, or regret. Good management of resources placed under you is in itself a gospel of Christ. So any position you hold in the NCCK, either at this region or at national level, is held in trust on behalf of all the member churches and our Christians. So for the incoming leadership, I want to pray for you that you be people who are ready to preach the gospel in seasons and out of seasons. People who can stand firm, not people who can be cowed, not people who can be given a small envelope and you are finished. You are finished. You are finished. The other day, I had a meeting with my Senator, Oburu Odinga. And I told Oburu, in my lifetime, I've never received money from a politician, and I will not. The only politician in this world that has given me money was Raila Amolo Odinga when he visited me at home and said, Bishop, this one to support you. I'm saying personal money, not for the church. Are you getting me? And I'm making it very clear. He came to my home. I had a function. Said, this one will support you taking care of. That's the only thing. Don't take money from people to compromise you are. You will never be the same again. You will never be the same again. And they will always remind you. You think I'm lying? They will always remind you. Whenever you want to stand, Bishop, remember, even that money we gave you. But if someone gives you as a friend, like if the governor gives me something, he gives me as his bishop. Are you seeing the difference? I'm supporting my bishop his work, not as upon politician. There's a very big difference. But if he gives you, you must ask, why is he giving you? Don't be compromised. Stand firm. Our region is still fragile. We were just still sharing with the governor about the peace agreement they made with the county of Kericho. You know, something on paper is different. Peace comes from the heart. Once it comes from the heart and is appreciated, is when it will go up here. And then it will work. So I pray for each one of you that as you come forward, please be conversant. Know the geography and politics of our region. Know this, our leaders, and try to reach out to them for fellowship, for friendship, for the sake of our country. And with that, I want to say thank you so much, all of you, for the trust you have bestowed upon me. The church leaders, we have worked so well with you, all of you. You have given me enormous support. May God bless you. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.